205 pounds. I'll tell you what, it's good to be Glover. It really is good to be Glover. I mean, if anybody kept their integrity intact, and that had to be stressful beyond belief. And the nice guy never wins. It never works out for the nice guy. And Glover has a code and he has a system, and being a gentleman and being a good sport and holding your head high and carrying yourself with dignity at all times is that code, and it got tested. And he passed. And it really is a rare opportunity where you needed so many dominoes to come into peace, to come into place, for Glover to find himself a month away from a world title fight, which, by the way, he's the favorite. Now, that's a conversation for another day, but it is good to be Glover. I mean, he did do it right. He stayed true to himself. And I know it was hard. I watched him on Ariel's show right in the thick of the moment. He's on Ariel's show, and Ariel asked him very simple but very fair questions. How do you feel? Is this wrong? Are you upset? And he went as close to that line as he's ever been. And it was still about 20 feet away. He never verged on cursing. He never verged on poor me. He never talked about this is unfair. And he found himself his opportunity. Now, go back to 205 pounds. Blachowicz is singing a little bit of a different tune, and I'm glad that he is. Blachowicz had a line that was a pretty powerful line. By Blachowicz's own standard, this was as PG-13 as you're going to get the guy. But he said, hey, only one of us was crying leaving the octagon. And he brought up the fact that Ankalaev was in tears as he left the octagon. And not for nothing, I didn't fully understand it because Blachowicz won 3 rounds. That's not only Chael's opinion, that was the judge's opinion. One judge gave the fight to Jon based on the fact that he won 3 rounds. The first 3. The judge that had it a draw gave the first 3 rounds to Jon. Within the last 2, he had a 10-8. I mean, do you guys understand that math? Glover won 3 rounds of a 5-round ass-whipping contest. I don't mean Glover, I mean Jon. So there really was no reason. It really wasn't right when he, much like many fans, could only remember the last 10 minutes. He wasn't in a good position to assess that, and he did not owe the tip of the hat to Ankalaev that he gave. And that's a risky game. I had a guy tell me off in the comments section, but that matters to me. I read every one of those comments. Told me off. He said, Chael, you just can't accept that not everybody's in this for opportunity. Some guys are true competitors. Some guys are sportsmen. Some guys are true to themselves. Let me stop you right there. No, they aren't. I wanted Glover to come out and say fighting words about the fight that he had as a way of setting up another fight. That's what I wanted. Keep saying Glover. I'm talking about Jon Blachowicz. He came out and he chose to take a completely different path, that of humility, kindness, niceness. I had somebody tell me that that is what's true to the sport. That is what is real. But just so you understand, no, it's not. That's an act. The one I'm suggesting would be a performance as well. The one that you saw is an act. It's the one that the guy with the white hat wears. But if that's the gimmick you're playing, you stay with it. And that's all that was. So don't tell me that I want some kind of manufactured conflict, but there's another side to the coin, which is the high. They're both an act. And the one that you only have 2 choices, the white hat or the black hat. It's real simple. The choice that you should make is whichever one gets you over with the audience. When I have a problem with it is when you chose the wrong one. When you chose the one that the audience doesn't want. You did it because you think that they do. They don't want to hear you being unconflicted after unarmed combat. And I believe when Jon changed his tune, I think it just shows the lack of sincerity that he had in the first place. I'm not mad at that. I'm not mad at that at all. I'm mad at the guy that left me the comment that is trying to argue that there's another side to the sport for these true and pure guys. It's none of that. That's an act. They're both acts. Which one do you go with? Which character do you play in the moment? Now, the right answer is whatever one the audience wants more. And the only reason I'm coming down on Jon is he misjudged the room. The act that he went out of being the nice guy and tip of the hat and shake of the hand to his opponent is not the one that was appropriate for that moment. And when he came out and he tried to correct this and talk about there was only one guy crying, I don't know that it's just because he now realizes he won 3 rounds. He lost 2, he won 3. I don't think it's that. I think there's a part of him that when he did it, he thought it was going to be reciprocated. I had just personalized this. I had a very similar situation. I fought Michael Bisping. I had the foggiest idea who won. It was a really important match that I won. I'm getting a world title opportunity if I win. I'm not sure if that was true for Bisping, like if this was a number 1 contenders match or if it was just, but I know that for me, like this was a really important match that I win. Okay, great. I mean, everybody's got their story, right? They're all important, but this one was a little bit different for me. There's a little something more on it, and I did not know. When the fight was over, I did not know. Big John McCarthy was the referee. I couldn't wait for the decision. I needed somebody to assure me. And I turned to Big John and said, who won? And, John's not going to touch that. It puts John in a very weird spot. So then, right, I'm so desperate to hear who won. I can't wait for Buffer to come in. I go and ask Bisping. Now, that's a little bit weird, but I did it. I asked Bisping, who won? And he said, I think I got you. And I said, yeah, I think so too. And I did. I was a nerve-wracking moment for this to come in. So we go to the post-fight press conference, and Bisping sticking to it. Hey, man, I beat him. He even admitted that I beat him. Like, he did this. He's doing his part. It comes to me. And I wilted. I mean, I did what Jon did. And I said, man, he's tougher than hell. And I thought that he won. I was very nervous. I don't argue with the decision. But I thought that they were going to I just answered the question as honestly as I could. As soon as I did that, Bisping defended me. As soon as I said that about Bisping, he defended me. He grabs his microphone. He wasn't even asked a question. He goes, hey, Chael, you had some really good takedowns. And, you really, whatever it was, he did give me the tip of the hat. I put him over, so then he put me over. I think that perhaps Jon thought that's what's going to happen. I think Jon thought I can take this high road, and I can do this in the right way, and we can both shake hands like men. And I'll go first. I won't say I lost, but I did not win. Then you turn it to Uncle Liev, and I think that Jon thought perhaps Uncle Liev will go, well, hey, just a second, you had those first 3, and your kickboxing was really on point tonight, and you're a great competitor. Now, I don't know that makes the storyline any better. I think that we're all still yawning, and I don't know that they would get the rematch. I think that everybody would just get up and move on. I'm just sharing with you that perhaps that was what Blachowicz thought, because Blachowicz's assessment was not accurate. Blachowicz did the damage. He damaged the legs. Blachowicz won 3 rounds of a 5-round contest. Like, these things are true. You find that 10-8 and you work out your math and you end up with a decision, but I'm sharing for you, like, what Blachowicz said in that moment that I did not win. He's not right. He's not right. He won 3 rounds of a 5-round contest. I mean, you do the math. You don't have to be Kreskin. The whole thing works out for Glover, which is just pretty cool. But we still do have a casualty here, and this hasn't been paid off. And that is Anthony Smith. What happens with him? And I could give you a story of Anthony Smith's last 8 months, and I would have you all in tears. But I'm not looking for a sympathy plea just because of my friendship with Anthony Smith. I fully disclose it. I want something good to have, but I also think that it's the right thing to do. And if you fall down because you got your leg broken against Ankalaev, who, by the way, might be the best guy in the world, I don't think it's right that follows you. I've seen LeBron James lose 2 games in a week, and within that same week be crowned world champion, right? I mean, the best of 7, the NBA, this is the way it works. The top guys, it goes back and forth. I think it should be considered. I think Anthony Smith should be the backup fighter. I don't think that we should argue about it. I don't think it's very likely that he's going to step in and get that fight. I think these 2 boys are going to go and do their thing. But I think that is a spot that's coveted. I think that it's a bit of a reward. And I think that spot should be Anthony.